Hey, how's it going tonight, guys? Let me know if you guys can hear me. Hopefully you can. I see that Mike is on, Nick's on, Scott's on. What's going on, guys? Happy Friday. Hope you guys are doing great. So someone let me know whether or not you can hear this. I know there's a little bit of delay. Um, Glad you guys could join. Got deer lists in the house. All right, I got some thumbs up, so it looks like people are hearing me. So, hey, it is chilly outside tonight. I was just checking the weather. It's been howling. The wind's just been howling. So I went outside, and I was like, nope, it's cold. I was thinking about going for a walk earlier. I was like, nah. Right now, it is showing 13 degrees. Feels like -5. So it's a cold one out there. Yeah, Mike, really, really chilly. So what do you guys want to talk about tonight? I know that some people were throwing out some questions, some more. There were a lot of questions still about some trip planning stuff and kind of what I've got coming up. And so we'll get into quite a bit of this stuff tonight. But really, this is open. This is open for you guys to throw me your questions and let's get into it. So. Cool thing, I recently just found out that Chris, Rainman, is heading out here, so we're gonna be getting a trip in. So he's gonna fly out. We're gonna go. I gotta figure out a trip. So for those of you who wanted to see more trip planning, looking at like a 4 or 5, 6 day trip, something like that. And so I took some time off. He just got his flights scheduled, so. Looking at somewhere in this general area to go. Not sure what the weather's going to do. You know, it's kind of one of those things that we're gonna kind of figure something out and roll the dice and hope it works out. Hopefully we aren't wading through 2 feet of snow, 2 feet of fresh powder. But a little bit of snow might not be bad. It's kind of cool to get out there when it is kind of, snowing, snow covered. Got a lot of people in here right now. A lot of people coming in. Lakeland, Florida, Kevin. All things outdoors is on. All right. Good seeing so many people on here. See, I'm not exactly sure where we're gonna end up. Harriman, where I was last weekend, has really impressed me quite a bit, and so. There's quite a bit of trail there, and we could do like an outer loop of that and hit some really cool stuff. Really go over the same stuff that I did last weekend, hit more of the AT, and hit some of that southern section, maybe wind up and through there. And we could definitely make probably a week out of that one. So yeah, a 5-day trip in the winter is a big trip. We could plan it out where we could actually hit, park somewhere in the middle, do like a figure 8, and be able to resupply from the car, leave stuff in the car, and do like a figure 8 resupply. I've done things like that before, or used multiple cars. We can't really use multiple cars on this one, even though I've got both the Supra and the Jeep. Especially if we're talking about winter and not really sure what the weather's going to do. I don't think it's very smart to drive the Supra. Additionally, the Supra will actually be in the shop during that time. Last time I drove down to see my mom in Virginia, on the road, hit some debris, got kicked up, hit my hood, and put a pretty good gouge in my hood. So I am dropping that off later this month to get that repaired. Yeah, Mike, you're right. When I was out there, there are very few areas that you can't hear some sort of road noise, especially when you're near the Palisade Parkway. It's really loud, and then people just screaming up and down through those roads because they're really twisty roads, and a few of them were actually blocked off. So the first time I had gone out there, I parked at one of the lakes because the road that I was going to take to go out to the Appalachian Trail parking lot had a big sign on it that said road closed. I actually just recently, just a couple days ago, got a message from one of the Harriman State Park employees who saw my video and wanted to reach out to me to let me know that that road is closed because of that bridge that was out, but I can drive. I'm actually considered an authorized vehicle if I was going out to that parking lot. So everything's cool. I could do that if I wanted to. So pretty cool. So Eeyore bought a Townsend bridge. It is a great hammock. I I will be held personally responsible if you don't like it. I'm actually, I think probably my next trip out, I will take that on that trip. I really enjoy that hammock. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit of a different setup, and just I know that some people have seen it and are not very enthusiastic about where the bars are. And it's kind of the give and take to get the lay the way that it is, and to really relieve that shoulder squeeze. The bars kind of have to be low. The higher you put them, the more you get that dip, and the more it's going to create that shoulder squeeze. And that's why I get a little bit more shoulder squeeze in the Banyan. Definitely not the same as a gathered end. But with that Townsend bars being low, it really does spread it out quite a bit wider. Plus, it's quite a bit wider to begin with, and so it does create, for me, a really good lay. Got Stoned Ape Adventures on here. Alan, J3 Hikes from Tucson, Arizona. Awesome. A lot of good stuff out in Arizona, man. Last time I was out there, I stopped in Sedona again. Sedona is a beautiful place. It's one of those areas that I love getting to. But I actually have family in Tucson. I haven't been out there in a while though, so it might be worth a trip sometime in the not too distant future. I don't have anything out there planned at this point. I think if I was gonna go West Coast right now, it would probably be to go back and finish up the Tahoe Rim Trail, or do something like Tahoe to Yosemite, or go hit some stuff in Yosemite. But then we get into that whole thing that I released the video about the other day, where you've got kind of that the filming restrictions. Now, I don't know how strict they're going to be about it. I put that out there because it's real. That is absolutely real right now, is that those restrictions are kind of in place, and you have to get a permit, and the permits do cost a lot. But I'm not sure how much they're going to be enforcing it, and are they going to find my videos? I posted that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that they're going to be looking, but when I get a message from a state park that I visited, really at the time that he had sent the message to me, I'd visited it one time. I put up one video. I don't have a big following in this area yet, so to have someone from that park find my video, reach out to me, people from these parks are actually on looking at videos, so who knows? Oh, Dearless, Adirondack trips, absolutely for sure. So my buddy Jeremy, if you go back and you look at the very first video that I posted on this channel, it was the Adirondacks super hike. It was Jeremy or Sherpa Man and Mike, Beekeeper. I don't know if it was Beekeeper at the time. I can't remember when we gave him Beekeeper. We gave him Beekeeper when we were in the Smokies, but I can't remember if the Smokies were prior to me starting this channel. I think it was. So a lot of history there, and I'm too old to keep time frames, and I don't know how people do it. Some people are really good at knowing like when things happened and who was there, and having dates, and in 1987 I did this, and in 1993 I was here. If I don't have it written down, if I can't go back and look at pictures and see the dates on them, I have absolutely no idea when I did what. But Jeremy is somebody I grew up with, one of the first people I ever did any backpacking, climbing, hiking, and stuff like that with, and he still lives up in upstate New York. And so we were actually talking just last week about hooking up. He was going skiing, otherwise he would have been in Harriman with me. But I think that we will definitely have some big trips in the Adirondacks. There's a lot of great stuff up there, a lot of great stuff, and he's done a lot of big hikes. He's done Northville Placid Trail, all kinds of stuff throughout the Adirondacks. So having him as a resource, something I'm definitely going to reach out to and make sure that we're hitting up some really cool spots. Oh, right on. You're going to Sedona. Yeah, Sedona is it's such a beautiful place. You get some odd people out there, but if you're into hiking, if you're into climbing, if you're into mountain biking, that is a destination that can't be missed. Just the red rock out there is absolutely incredible. So many cool spots, and just it's awesome. It is absolutely awesome out there. So as far as the permit system, this is where it kind of gets weird. And I've had a couple of message discussions back and forth with people about this. So it is for commercial filming, and what the National Park Service, National Forest Service, and BLM to some extent, and some state parks, not many at this point, but some, what they're deeming as commercial is anything that's there to make money, anything that's there to make money at all. BLM has some areas that it says like a crew of 5 or less is not. So it kind of depends. But when we're talking about if you monetize or don't monetize, the problem is you've got to get a permit before you go out there. So if I take my camera out to Yosemite and I'm filming and someone stops me and says, hey, where's your permit? And they happen to, for some reason, know who I am, or someone there knows who I am, or something, and they can tie that every video, or damn near every video on my channel is monetized at this point, it's going to be kind of hard for me to say that I wasn't going to monetize that video. But at the same time, until I actually post it and monetize it, have I done anything wrong? But the truth is, I'm going to post it and I'm going to monetize it. So, kicking the camera. You know, it's one of those things. It's another guy kind of paired it with stealth camping. So, I mean, last weekend I didn't make it to the designated camping area, and so I set up camp and I stealth camped, and it was an area that wasn't legal for camping. So I did something wrong there. It's kind of one of those things, man. When you're out there, we're all responsible for the things that we do. I could do the video, I can post it. At some point, they may come and say, hey, you didn't have a permit for this. These were the dates that it was filmed on, and hit me up with a fine. I don't know. I mean, that's what happened to that channel, Kara and Nate, whatever it is. It's a vlogging travel channel, and they got hit with a $1,000 fine after the fact. And the crazy thing about that is that they live out of a Sprinter van. They're driving around, and if they didn't have someone that was, the way I think it worked was they've got a post office box, and someone was opening their mail and sending them pieces of it or something along those lines. If they did not receive that piece of mail that told them they had the fine and they had to arrive or appear in a certain court or respond by a certain time, a warrant was going to be placed for their arrest. So it's kind of weird. Yeah, CRS, I've got all of that. Yep, can't remember any of it. Central Pennsylvania. So, yeah, I was Frozen Outdoor Adventures just did a live chat the other night, and I went on, and I've met up with him in the past. We did the Laurel Highlands hiking trail several years back, and so I was like, hey, when are we going to get together and hike? So I know that he's doing a lot of training right now, and he's trying to build up miles, and he's staying pretty close to home. So I will probably, if I want to meet up with him, it'll probably be in central or even western Pennsylvania. I don't know what he's got planned and where he's going to be heading to. So there's a possibility it could be central, it could be anywhere in Pennsylvania. But yeah, I mean, being as close as I am to Pennsylvania at this point, I mean, I'm an hour from Delaware Water Gap, so pretty damn close. Pretty close. A lot of good trails, a lot of rocky trails. So yeah, I definitely intend to get out there and hit some Pennsylvania trails. You know, being back on the East Coast, the whole Northeast is kind of open to me, and you know I've got friends that are in different areas around that I'm gonna try and hook up with at some point. So yeah, definitely. So yeah, you could. It's kind of one of those things. On the video that I posted the other day, I talked about how people that go out and drive their cars spiritedly with a GoPro or whatever, recording it, often say that they're in Mexico, and I think that's one of the ways we're going to probably see people getting around it is not saying where they are or saying they're here or there or wherever, or you know, in Mexico. Who knows? If we say we're in a different country, are they gonna care? I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard to hide, you know, El Cap or Half Dome, you know, some of the arches, different things. But if you get into like the Smokies, and this is one of the things I brought up, is the Smokies, you're gonna have a lot of people hiking through there. You know, all the AT through hikers now that vlog. It's getting a little bit crazy, and it's. I know this is going to stir up the pot here, but you know, I still love the AT, but the attraction to through hiking it with the number of people that are out there and the number of people that are vlogging it, for me, it's diminished. I still love the trail, and I still want to go out there, and I still want to finish it, but I don't know. To me, the allure is somewhat gone because of all of the vloggers, and you know, is that a little bit hypocritical since I go out and I video and make videos out on trails? Yeah, I guess probably you could say that it's a little bit hypocritical, but yeah, it's the truth. It's the way I feel. So it is what it is. But yeah. So Frozen and I did it was Frozen, Gary. So Gary did his AT through hike as well, and Meerkat. So the four of us did the Laurel Highlands through hike, and I think it's on night one. I was recording something, standing here like this. There's a fire pit behind me with a fire going, and Frozen's on the other side of it, mooning the camera. So yeah, he did that. But yeah, I definitely want to get out and hike with Frozen some more. Fun guy to hike with. Quehana, is that how you say it? Quehana Wilderness. I'm gonna have to check that out. I've never heard of that. There's a lot of stuff around. Just today, I was looking at some stuff even here in New Jersey that I'd never heard of, didn't know existed. Some pretty cool stuff. So there's a lot of stuff around. I definitely want to get more up into the Vermont, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine. I've done almost no hiking in Maine. I've done quite a bit in Vermont. I've done the Whites and a couple of other trails in New Hampshire. I don't think I've done anything in like Massachusetts, Connecticut. I don't know what there is there. But Maine is one of those that I definitely want to get out. It's such a wild state that I want to definitely do some exploring there. So lots of stuff there. Let's see. Hey Josh, what's going on, man? So did a lot of good coffee today. So the Pico Presso, you know, I dialed it in using light roasts, and it took a lot. Like I think I mentioned it took like somewhere between like 35 and 50 shots to get to where I was making a decent espresso shot with a light roast. So I ordered a couple of bags of darker roasts, so like a medium to dark and then a fairly dark roast, just for doing espresso. And the tolerance gets so much bigger. It's so much more you don't have to dial the grind quite as well. You don't have to have the timing of the shot dialed quite as well. And it produces so much better of a shot, so much easier. I've been making shots every single day for the last week. I've been fighting a cold. I thought I had the flu, but I tested negative for the flu. So I've been fighting a cold, but I've been taking lots of shots of espresso over the last couple of weeks, or this week, sorry. I have driven spiritedly on the Autobahn. I actually have a video of it that I had posted, but yeah, I think that's one of those things that you say. But the problem is, like, I mentioned this one channel that I do watch. I didn't mention the channel by name, but I mentioned that I watch this one channel that does a lot of racing with his Supra. And the problem is he always says, hey, we're headed out to Mexico, and then they're racing. They do a lot of roll racing on highways like at 2, 3 in the morning. So there's no traffic on there. But if you watch the videos, they aren't blurring out some of the signs, and so you can obviously tell where they are, what's going on if you put 2 and 2 together. So yeah, you can say you're on the Autobahn, you can say you're in Mexico, we could say we're hiking in I don't know, Japan, but the truth is, when you start putting memorable, noticeable, recognizable landmarks on the video, it becomes tough to say you weren't where you were. And who knows how it all goes down. Who knows if anyone's looking. I don't know. If I get a trip to Yosemite, if I get a trip to one of the national parks in the next few months, I will be a guinea pig, and I will let you know whether or not I get a fine. Because the truth is, a channel of my size that's not making any real money, you get to like a Dan Becker type size, or a Shug, or some of these other guys, and they're probably making fairly decent money, not live off type of money, but fairly decent money. But literally to go to, I looked up Death Valley because that was where Jevin had posted about. And for me to go out there, if we were doing like a 3 or 4 day trip, it's like over $1,500 just based on, and it could be more than that, depending on how much the park actually wants to interject and be a part of it. Additionally, the number of areas that you can actually film in, the majority of that park, they won't even let you film in. So it's a little bit out of control. Like I said, it is, that whole rule, the whole thing is there for big productions. I mean, it is written in a way that it's aimed at big productions. It's aimed at film crews of hundreds of people with animals and with big equipment and crap like that being out there. It's not aimed at me walking around with a GoPro. It just doesn't make sense for it. What year? Let me see. Let me scroll back up a little bit. Yeah, the AT, just too many people doing it. I mean, it has AT, PCT, not so much the CDT, so maybe the CDT is the place to go until it explodes. It's kind of become the thing to do, and I don't know, there's too many people doing it, in my opinion. I don't know. It's definitely changed, and it's changed my opinion of it. And nothing against anybody that's doing it. It's just the way it is. Cranberry Lake 50. I will definitely. Hey Mike, where is the Cranberry Lake 50? Where is that? So what year did I do the Laurel Highlands hiking trail? So it was probably 6 or 7 years ago. If you do a search, you can either look on mine or on Frozen's. Actually, Frozen's done it like 10 times and recorded it like 10 times. So if you go to mine and just put in Laurel Highlands hiking trail, it'll come up. I think, I don't remember if I split it up into multiple videos. I think I did. Yeah. So light roast coffee. So yes, per gram, there is less caffeine. Um, it's because there's more water weight. It's because it hasn't been roasted. Bean for bean, there's about the same amount. In a dark bean and a light bean, it's about the same amount. But because most of us that are doing coffee at the level that I do, you measure it out by the gram, you grind it, and so yes, there's going to be a lower content of caffeine, but you actually get to taste what the bean is supposed to taste like. A dark roast, it goes way past the subtleties of the bean, and you get into those burnt, bitter flavors. So for Americans, most Americans, the dark roasts are what appeals to them because that's what they know. That's what they think coffee should taste like. But for me, getting into those subtle flavors and figuring out what the taste palette truly should be on a bean, and it's personal preference. It's completely personal preference. If you like dark roast, Chris, Rain Man, loves dark roasts. I'm not a huge fan. I think they all kind of taste about the same. When you get into those tobacco-y, molasses type flavors, I can't do it. I just don't like it. That's not an enjoyable cup of coffee to me. When you get into the really light flavors, the berries and the floral type flower or floral type flavors, some of the tannins that come through, for me, that's what's enjoyable about a cup of coffee. I don't add milk. I don't add creamer. I just drink it black. Dark coffees are great for taking like a creamer. Really good for it. Light coffees, not so much. Michelangelo, how's it going? From Ohio. A lot of people on here from Ohio. Josh is from Ohio. You've got a bunch of other people that, a lot of hikers, a lot of pretty good hikers are from that area. So, cool. I was in Germany for a little while. The reason I had a video from the Autobahn was one of my military customers was in was in Germany. That's where the headquarters was. So I was in Stuttgart quite a bit. The NC 500 Scotland. Tell me more about that. I'm gonna have to look into that one as well. So yeah, Dan Becker. Like I said, he came on the scene. If you actually go back, really early on, I did a collaboration video with Dan, and I think at the time he had under 1,000 subscribers when we did the collaboration video. But the difference is I kept making videos that I like to make, focusing on the trip videos and doing some gear reviews here and there, but primarily only the kind that I wanted to do. I wasn't going out and searching for what was hitting. And that's, what, Dan pulled no punches. He told everyone this is what he was doing. He said, hey, I'm going to make this a living. This is what I'm going to do. And he did it, and he did it well. I mean, he has thumbnails that catch attention. I don't personally care for those types of thumbnails. He's got them. Kyle Hates Hiking has them. There's a bunch of people that have thumbnails that are like that, like their face with a shocked look or whatever, and just those catchy titles. But he said he was going to do it. I mean, that's what he went out there and he started looking at what goes into the algorithm, what people are doing. He was going out and doing what videos are hitting, what are the keywords in there, what do the thumbnails look like, what kind of content. And he crafted it. I mean, he crafted it. He did exactly what he said he was going to do, and you can't hate on it. I mean, the guy, he found a way to make it work. He found a way to get out of. He was an insurance salesman. He found a way to get out of being an insurance salesman and make money out backpacking and hiking. and he still, I think, only does like one big trip a month. And I, I guess he said he made over $100,000. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that he's made that happen and made that work. It's not exactly the style that I do or want to do, but I'm not going to fault him for it. He's a YouTube bot. A lot of people do not like Dan Becker. He's definitely one of those polarizing figures. You either love him or hate him. I'm not really in a love or hate. He is what he is, and he's found a way to make it work. Yeah. So Dale Ingram says, top tip is to eliminate caffeine by having a big fat line in the morning instead of coffee. Well, I don't think that's going to work for me, but appreciate it. So Tanya loves a dark roast. Like I said, it's kind of like the same thing that I say with backpacking and hiking and everything else. Is find what works for you and do it. And if Tanya likes dark coffee, I'm not going to, look, we're not fighting over it. She can have the dark stuff, I'll take the light stuff. We're good. House blend, like dark roast, no milk and creamer. Okay. Yeah, sometimes some of the blends where they do have some of the lights and some of the darks can get pretty interesting. And I don't remember, I think it was Hoboken Coffee in Guthrie, Oklahoma, actually has a couple of blends. They have one called the Okie Kid blend that I actually really liked. And it was more it had more of the dark than it did of the light. But the light that it had brought out some notes that I really, really enjoyed. And the dark wasn't to the point where it was, the one note in a dark that I just cannot stand is tobacco. If it has even the slightest hint of tobacco in the dark, I'm done. I can't do it. But this one was actually really good. Yeah, so Scott says, trip videos seem to have lower views, and you're absolutely right, but it's what I like to do, and I'm not going to stop doing them. I think that's what a lot of people that watch my channel like, is they like the trip videos that I do. When I put up a poll just a couple of weeks ago asking what people wanted to see, and overwhelmingly the highest number was trip videos, more trip videos. And so I'm trying to get at least a couple of good trip videos every month out there. I enjoy doing them. I like getting out and I like sharing that. And I'm trying, every time I go out, I'm trying to make the video better. And I actually was really happy with and really proud of the last video that I put out, the one from Harriman, Bear Mountain, AT. That one, I put a lot of time into the pieces that went into it, a lot of time into the editing. I think that's one of the things that people don't realize is how much editing does go into putting together a video, how much gets cut out. So I think for the majority of trip videos, more gets cut out than what gets put in. But that's okay. And I'm trying to make it better. I'm trying to make it more appealing for people and try not to have them be hour long. I know that some people, Syntax does hour long videos and people love it. I've looked at what the average views on mine, the view duration, and honestly, people aren't sticking around through the majority of my videos. I mean, if I get 25% view duration, I'm doing pretty good. But I enjoy doing it, so that's what I'm going to keep doing. Yeah, DJ, he does come across as a salesman. I mean, he was an insurance salesman, so he's got that down. At least he wasn't a used car salesman. Used car salesmen are the worst. I've got a couple of friends that are used car salesmen, and yeah. Yeah, you're right. So Dan Becker, a lot of his videos are sponsored videos. It's gotten to the point where he has a crew. He has multiple people filming and editing for him, and so the quality of the content is going to go up, and so that probably is going to equate to more people watching because just the production value is going to be better. Could I get to that production value just doing it on my own? Maybe. It's a lot harder though. It is a lot harder. It's a lot easier if you've got someone holding the camera, setting up the shots, doing the stuff for you, and then someone that is trained and is proficient in editing and knows the tricks of the trade and knows how to color grade properly and knows how to put the sounds in right and knows how to do everything. I just do it. I just wing it. Trying to get back up here real quick. Yeah, that tobacco flavor, I just can't do it. Stone Dave, appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoy the trip videos because I'm gonna keep making them whether you enjoy them or not. But no, I appreciate that. Freeze dried cold brew. Is that something that Dutch has said he's gonna do? I know he just got a bunch of new freeze dryers, so maybe that's something he's working on. I don't know. I really like the group hang video you did. So I've done a few different group hangs. For me, the group hangs, there was a group hang last weekend that I was invited to, but I chose not to go for a few different reasons and instead went backpacking. Right now I've got a little bit more time, and so I could probably justify getting out to a group hang. But in the past, if I got one weekend on the trail, one weekend away from the family a month, I would much rather do it on the trail, hiking, backpacking, doing something that I love, rather than going to a group hang. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy getting out and talking with everybody. I am a very introverted person. I have a ton of social anxiety. And so it is beyond exhausting for me to interact with people in those settings for multiple days. I don't know. It's just, it's me, and that's kind of the way I am. And yeah, I definitely, I do. This year there will be a Spiguyver backpacking group hang or a group get together somewhere. I've actually already been looking at different places that this could happen, trying to figure out what kind of permits I need to get, what I need to do to set it all up. Really what I'd like to do is something that's a hike in, where you've got to hike a few miles to get there, make you earn it, and then have an area that we can just all kind of hang out at. So definitely in the works, something that's going to happen. But yeah, the group hangs are cool in the fact that you get to see a lot of really cool stuff. The very first HangCon I went to was one that I learned a lot about hammocks on that one. I don't think I would have gone to it had it not been for Dutch. So that was the first year that I had the Dutch Chameleon. I believe that was the first year I went. So Dutch, Sam from Batch Stoves, George from Loco Libre, a couple others were like, hey, you got to come to this. And so I went, and that one, I actually, as much as I say that these things wear me out, that one I actually had a really good time at, and went back. I think we went back 2 more times. But then the ownership who was doing it and the park, there was some transition going on there, and I haven't been back since. I did consider going this year, but it was such a long drive from up here down to Florida. I couldn't make it work. So pairing music to video, you're right. It is like a wine and food pairing. And I've definitely missed the mark several times. I've had I've had plenty of videos where either I put the music in and people did not like my music choices, or I put music in and I didn't go through and make sure that the audio levels were even or lower on the music. And so the music came in, it was super overpowering. Someone that was using headphones went deaf, and now I'm paying them. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, I get it. The music has to be right, and it has to fit. And I think I've gotten better at that over the last couple of years. I was using free music to begin with. Now I'm actually paying for my music. And I think that's made a big difference, is I can kind of select the character of the music that I'm listening to, or that I'm adding in, the durations, and make them fit. Now, you can get really, really intricate with the music and pair the beats of the music to scene changes, and, you know, as it crescendos, have it be at a really high point of the trail or a high point of the trip. There's a lot of work. That is a lot of work, and it takes a lot of piecing and moving things around. And you pick a duration, and now, you know, as you start clipping things and making it fit, you realize you don't have enough pieces to fit because of the way that you cut them, and it can become pretty stressful. And so I do a little bit, but actually timing it to the music is a little bit further than I normally go. Rod, I appreciate you saying that the last one had a good pacing. I felt like that one came together pretty well. I liked some of the shots that I did. You know, as I'm getting out there solo, it's definitely different than when I was out with Chris, with Rain Man. When we get together, we push, and we go pretty fast, and we go a lot of miles, and we just push, head down, going. And it's hard for me to stop, set up the camera. And so these last few trips, I've really been forcing myself to slow down, see what I want to see, take the time to envision what I want to see in the shot, set the camera up, do what I need to do. When I want to get some of those close-up shots, change into a different lens on the GoPro. I've got different lenses I can put on the GoPro, using them to get the shot that I want. It takes time, and it's a different methodology to the entire trip than what I have been doing for so many years. Actually, a good friend of mine, Darren, reached out to me just the other day. Actually, it was just last night. He was texting me. Loved the last video, but he was asking who I was, because I wasn't crushing miles. I wasn't concerned with getting to a specific spot, because those who have hiked with me, I get, we're gonna start here, we're gonna go to here, we're gonna go to here, we're gonna go to here, and it's usually pretty orchestrated. But these last few trips, I've just kind of been winging it, kind of been doing my thing. A lot of stuff here. I'm trying to go back and figure out where we were. All right, so I'm seeing people say more group hang stuff. I will make an effort to try and do that. Maha, yeah, probably Maha. You know, some of those that are in this area, I know that there were actually a couple here in New Jersey. One I wanted to get to, and something with work came up and I couldn't. Scott, yeah, work in a family, you know, for those who aren't aware, you know, my family is still in Oklahoma. My wife's going through nursing school. I've got two boys that are in college. My youngest son is in middle school. So they haven't moved out here, and they're not moving out here for probably at least a couple of years, if they do ever move out here. So I'm here living in an apartment and am kind of on my own. So I'm kind of free to do whatever I want on the weekends, and so it's opened it up to me getting out a whole lot more than I was previously, which is why the frequency of the videos has gone up. Um, I I mentioned that I have social anxiety. One of the things I mentioned it on the last video, but one of the things you don't see is me talking in front of people very much. You don't see me filming when there's a bunch of people around. It's weird, but I'm even that way around my own family. So I didn't do many videos when my family was around. I'd go outside and find a spot that was away from people. But even when I'd set up in a park where people were able to walk by, I'd kind of get freaked out as people were walking by. Yeah, it's I know it's weird, but it is the way it is. So less interaction with people, just showing their gear. Yeah, we could absolutely do that. Just get kind of what their gear rundown is, and go do some filming of it, do some close-ups, show kind of those unique setups. I think that could be really cool, and something I will work on. There's a Dan Becker video out there. R&R. What's the Dan Becker video that you're referring to? I'm gonna have to. This sounds like something I need to look at. He says he's leaving YouTube. Yeah, right. Okay, so if you want to talk about clickbait, there are several backpacking, hiking, gear YouTubers that are all about the clickbait. And Dan leaving YouTube? No, that's not happening. Yeah, Scott, it is hard to put together a shot by shot. I don't normally do that. I know there are a lot of people. I was actually just watching somebody that was talking through how they put together a certain trip video that they did, and that they had it thoroughly scripted. The script did change a little bit when they got out there, but they had the entire trip scripted before they went out there. They knew from watching other videos what the trail consisted of. They knew what things they had seen there that they wanted to capture and things they wanted to talk about. And so they had it all scripted. They knew that, on day 2 there was this waterfall, and that's where they were going to film the intro and talk about the geology and this and that, and start off the beginning, so that was your catch that you had to watch to get to there. There are a lot of people that do things in that manner. I'm not one of them. I go out and I film the trip, and it's more the experience. I'm not really telling that story, and maybe I should be. Am I doing it wrong? I don't know. Maybe I am. Maybe I need to stop doing it the way that I'm doing it, and start making it a story, doing research on where I'm going, history, all that kind of stuff, the flora and fauna, and telling a story. I don't know. Maybe I could do one like that and get you guys to tell me what you think of it. It'll probably suck. So Rod, yeah, stepping up your video and editing game, it's tough, and I think one of the toughest things is taking the time to do it right. Taking the time to, if you're bringing extra lenses, if you're bringing extra filters, if you're bringing the tripod, it's figuring out when and where to use them and how to use them effectively. Otherwise, you're just carrying a lot of extra weight and a lot of extra gear that just gets in the way. Or you end up like, actually, if you go back, if you go back to the Laurel Highlands hiking trail, day 1 we had just hit the trail, and I made kind of a joke towards the beginning. Only a few people that I was talking to at the time, Frozen got it, a couple other people got it, but I was like, right now we're we're 0.69 miles into the trail, and we're about to take a break or something like that. It was in reference to a video that was posted probably a couple of weeks or a month before we did that trip from Adventure Archives. Adventure Archives does amazing, amazing work. Their videography, the research that they do, the narration, I love their channel. They do awesome things, but they're not really backpackers. They're not real. They're adventurers that film. They're more videographers that like to get out. But a big day to them, and it's probably because of all of the equipment that they're carrying, a big day to them could be 5 miles. And so I want to say it was a video just prior to us going out there where they were going to be meeting up. Like they'd started in 2 groups. They were going to be meeting up like a couple miles in, and they were talking about how they were like point something miles into the trail, and I don't know. I just found it amusing. I'm a kid. I'm like a young adolescent that makes fun of people at times, and it's mean, and it's not nice, but it was kind of funny at the time. CL50 is Northwest Adirondacks, Watertown. Okay, I will definitely check that out. Homeless Santa says hang with us. All right, Maha is on my list for sure. Scott, I appreciate you watching, and I appreciate that you like the way I put them together. Alan, thank you. Thank you, DJ. Rod. Yeah, hang your own hang, hike your own hike. Yeah, it's interesting that some people do plan out so much of the hike, and it's the amount of, I don't know, for me, I think maybe the amount of time and effort that would go into doing that, maybe I would enjoy the hike more. I don't know. Or would it then become more work and I'm just not out there? I don't want to miss that one thing that I had researched and wanted to talk about. When I go out, I'm just kind of in the moment. And there are times where, I don't know, I could go an hour and not really comprehend that I went anywhere because I'm so absorbed in it. I don't know. It's weird. Camp Chair Chris, welcome to the party. Late, but you're here. So Rod marathon through all their videos. I think he's talking about Adventure Archives. Yeah, they definitely stop a lot for shots. I don't know I think that they've gotten better about it, but I know some of their earlier videos, while the production quality still was top notch, I mean, they were hauling around, no lie, I believe that they were hauling around like 30 pounds of camera and sound equipment each. So that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot. But then on top of that, if you go back and you watch, they're showing up with like heavy food, not with backpacking food, not with dehydrated meals, but with like cans of stuff, and they're putting together real meals and stuff. So you're only going to hike a few miles. I mean, you're not going to be doing 15, 20, whatever mile days, because you're carrying way too much gear to do that. Seen them in jeans out there. You've seen them with huge knives and stuff, and it's always amusing. But what's cool is to watch some of those channels and their evolution. Maybe not so much in the production quality, because their production quality started off, I mean, they're all extremely talented at what they're doing there. But I think that it's cool to watch the evolution of their gear and their backcountry prowess, if you will. Oh, no. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it is absolutely perfect to get out and do a 4 mile hike and be good and set up camp. There were days that I wished that was all I was doing. I've had bad days on the trail before where, you know, if I had the option to have made it a 2 mile day, I probably would have. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with a short day, especially if it's planned. If it's something that, you know, if you're going to an amazing lake or an amazing pond or an amazing view, but it's only a few miles, hey, do what works. Rod, I was not. That's cool. I was not. I don't think I was aware that they make their own music. So not only are they amazing videographers, they've got the audio quality down, but they're also making their own music to put to it. That's. I wonder. I wonder how much time goes into each one of their videos. I mean, because their videos aren't short. They put together, you know, they aren't releasing a ton of videos. It isn't like one a week, two a week. It's like one a month, sometimes longer between videos. I, I am guessing that entire month is probably spent building this. The planning that goes into it, the trip, it's probably like the planning that goes into it, the trip, the editing that goes into it, and including the building whatever music fits that. It's incredible. Yeah. Right. So, Camp Chair Chris mentioned the whole the commentary on the plants and edibles. That's one. The knowledge. It's got to be the research. I don't know. I mean, maybe they do. Maybe they do know that much about plants and edibles. But I've got to assume it's kind of like Alone, where they do a lot of research and they figure out for the area that they're going what plants are edible and what plants are good for what types of resources, because that is absolutely one of the amazing parts of it is just their knowledge, or apparent knowledge of all of the flora that's out there. It's incredible. Cloud 71 fabric. So, okay, I do have a fair amount of experience with Cloud 71. So I actually have a banyan that's in Cloud 71. You won't see that one out very, very much. I have a couple of hammock chairs that are in Cloud 71, and I just sold a netless hammock that was in Cloud 71. The banyan, we knew that one wasn't probably going to last all that long. The stress points, pretty much everywhere that it is sewn through, there are pretty good sized pulls on each one of them. So I don't actually use that one anymore. It's set aside. It never failed on me. I don't know that it would fail because it does have the ripstop in it, so it may not ever fail. But the pulls were enough that I didn't want to risk it. I don't want to be out on a trail. I've hit the ground one time in my entire hammock career, and I don't want to do it again. So, not taking that one out. The chairs. So I just recently replaced the chair that I was using. I had that bright orange one because when I went on to order one on Dutchware Gear, and that was the only one they had in stock was that orange. I wasn't a big fan of it, but that's the only color they had. So I got it, and I used it quite a bit. I probably used that one, probably 3 dozen times on different trips. And on one of the Ouachita trail trips, Rayman and I were sitting there. We were drinking margaritas, and I think we actually were out of margarita mix, but we still had tequila, so maybe we were just drinking straight tequila. And I realized that there was a big run, a pull run going right down the middle of it. And it hasn't I've used it a couple of times since then, and it has not completely split. I actually used it here on the AT in New Jersey. It hasn't completely split, but it worries me a little bit. I actually have flipped it around so that what was the head end is now the foot end, so that I'm not sitting right on that, so that it's more on my back. But I did buy a new one, so I don't have that issue anymore. Yeah, so just clickbait. Of course. I mean, no way is Dan Becker leaving YouTube, especially if he's making over 100K doing this. I mean, there's no way if you're making decent money, living money off of doing YouTube, are you going to go back to being an insurance salesman? I just don't see it happening. So, of course it was clickbait. Yeah. Robbie's vlog. Okay. They have their workflow down. Yeah. Now knowing that they do their own music, I'm going to have to go back. Probably as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to go upload their or pull up their most recent video and watch it and really listen to the music. And I don't know, maybe I'll be inspired. Not to make music. Okay, there is one video out there that I made music. I know that there's one person that knows which video that is, but I don't think it's got many views, and that one could come back to haunt me down the road. So, not making my own music. Yeah, Andrew Lynn with his, just absolutely comes across as that guy that does know all of it. But as far as the botany, as far as the fauna or the flora goes, the edibles, and not those types of edibles, but the edible plants. I think that there's got to be some level of research before they go out to an area. I can't imagine that anyone knows that much. I don't know, maybe they do. So Jason Smith is asking about the new zip-on underquilts, the Jacks Are Better underquilts for the Chameleon. And actually, on top of that, I know that it hasn't been formally released yet, but Dutch did team up with, I don't remember who. I thought it was Local Libre. I was going to say Local Libre, but it may not be. But for the Banyan, he's actually teamed up with somebody to make underquilts for the Banyan that'll clip on, a lot like the Local Libre Ridge Reaper that I've currently got. And it may still be Local Libre that he's teaming up with on that. But those are the ones that I'm looking forward to seeing what tweaks were made and what they work out as. I think that the interesting thing is I saw a post from Chris Gherkin from Pickle. That the Chameleon quilts work with both the regular and the wide, and I have a hard time with that because it should be wider if it's on the wide. If you're otherwise you're going to have extra fabric that's not allowed to be spread out, and so you're going to lose the actual width of the wide. If you get what I'm saying, if it's zipped in, it's only going to go as wide as the underquilt that's zipped to it will allow it to. And if that underquilt is made for a regular and you've zipped it into a wide, you've now negated that you bought a wide. I think it's a great idea. If you look back, I worked with Sheltoe on their integrated underquilt. It was a pretty cool design. I know that Fire in My Bones, he has integrated quilts he's been doing for a long time, and then you've got Superior Gear. And what I love about the evolution to Superior Gear, I think that the Superior Gear ones are extremely well done. I think that they are very much set up, no fuss, no muss. you got a perfect underquilt. You're not messing with it. It's good. I think that you're going to have the same thing with the zip-in ones. I think that everything that Dutch has designed has come up with. It has a lot of function. The form, fit, and function is always really, really good with Dutch's stuff, and so I think that they're going to be awesome. I think right now they're only probably coming in, I think 20 and 40 degree is what I saw. I don't know if that range is going to expand down the road, but I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it expand. I don't know. We'll see. Jacks Are Better makes decent stuff. It's what I started out using. I wouldn't say it has changed ownership, and I have not used it in a very many years. But I don't normally classify them as at the same level as like a UGQ or a Loco Libre. I'll leave it at that. So DJ, if you're ordering one, let us know. Let us know how it works out for you, because I am interested. I know that there are a few people out there that have got them, that have been testing them, that say they're great. I want to hear from some real world use. Yeah, if there's not a differential cut, you're right. I don't know what they look like. I have not seen them. I've not used them. I'm no longer using, really for the most part, no longer using any gathered end, and so I probably won't be on the list for Dutch to send stuff to test, because I'm just not doing it. Same with Danny with Superior. I'm not comfortable in the gathered ends anymore because of my shoulder. My go-to suspension setup is, I don't even know what the, I think it's a UDHPE or whatever strap, 12-foot strap. It's from Myers, so Jeff Myers Tech. It's got the hardware-less connection on the end around the tree. So it's got like a knot that goes through a hole. I don't even know how to describe it, but and then Beckett hitch. Pretty much no matter which hammock I'm using, it's a Beckett hitch at this point. I mean, that's what I was using. I've kind of gone back and forth over the last few years on different things, but I'm back to pretty much exclusively using that. The Anne-Marie's cinch buckle system, that one is actually really, really good. So if you're into cinch buckles, look at the one Autumn Outdoors, what she has. That one is really good. Yeah, still no sighting of Bigfoot or Dan Becker hiking. So there was an interesting discussion. So Shill Brothers, they do their podcasts, their video stuff quite a bit, and it's always interesting to see kind of what discussions come up. And there was one discussion one time about Bigfoot, and they got into the whole thing about, with so many people out there with cameras, with videos, like me going out there and doing a video. If there was a Bigfoot, by now they'd be caught on film. You say that, and it was talked about quite a bit. But the thing with that, if you don't have the camera out and recording when something happens, by the time you get it out, get it on the subject and get it turned on, the subject is gone. Case in point, I cut out an entire section of a video that I really wanted to be part of the video in, I think it was the AT trip that I did a few weeks back, where it was snowing, where there was a decent amount of snow on the ground. There was something that I saw. I am pretty sure it was a big cat. It moved very fast. I have my camera on my shoulder strap, and I reached down and turned it on, and it's on shock cord there, and so I turned it on to try and catch whatever it was, but it was far enough away, and just the delay in the GoPro turning on, it was out of sight. I saw a little blur, but it was so far away I couldn't tell what it was. But that's the thing, is there may be things out there, and you may see them. You may physically see them and be pretty sure of what you're seeing. But by the time you get the camera out, by the time you get your phone out of your pocket and get it turned on, the subject is gone. Or it's so far away, you're not gonna get a clean shot. So who knows? Who knows if there's a Bigfoot out there? Or a Dan Becker? Yeah, for the price, the temp rating, weight, price, jacks are better, and that's why I started with them. Is for the price point. Down seemed to be good quality. I had no complaints about it, honestly. So yeah, I mean, definitely a good place to start. So J3 Hikes asked me about the Trailhead's Anaconda. Oh, you're just trying to stir this one up, aren't you? All right. So, I don't know. I don't know what I think about it. So, it is essentially a double-ended stuff sack that's large enough to shove your hammock, top quilt, under quilt in, all set up and together. But it has, the part that makes it different than just a double-ended stuff sack is it has a mesh sleeve that you pull over it, a lot like a snakeskin that you put on a tarp. So you pull that over your system, and it takes what's a big mess of stuff, and it packs it down into a tube, and then you shove the tube into the stuff sack, and then it's got compression on it, and it's got a spot, I think, on the end for your straps, maybe for something else, I don't know. Overall, it's probably a pretty good system, and I'm positive. If you are looking for a way to speed up setting up and taking down your system, it's going to do that. You just grab it. It's like the tarp snakeskin. Makes it so much easier. The difference, though, is I don't use stuff sacks. Yes, my hammock is in a double-ended stuff sack, but my quilts, I don't put them in stuff sacks. I don't put them in a compression bag. I stuff them in the bottom of my pack, and the reason is it will fill up the pack better, fill out the pack better. There won't be any voids, and it kind of takes up a lot of space there, and I don't know. It's just the way I've been doing it. I did many years ago, I actually had Dutch make me a double-ended stuff sack that was bigger, so that I could leave my under quilt on my hammock and shove it in there. I don't know. I don't know why I moved away from that, but I did. And so when I saw this, I kind of thought, it's not really anything new. But it's the sleeve, the skin that makes it the Anaconda that is what makes it new. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think it's something you would use? It definitely is going to speed up setting up or taking down your system. No doubt about that. But I do like to shake out my quilts, fluff them, make sure that the down is where I want it to be, and I don't know if using that system is it gonna change that. Soft shackle. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah. So DJ says there is a 0, a 20, and a 40 option. So I think they've got a pretty good range there, and if you could stack them, would be great. Like right now, with it being, feels like -5 outside, that 0 is not going to work out too well. So if you could stack that 0 with the 40, the 0 with the 20, now you're getting somewhere that I could be outside right now in it. Yeah, Autumn Outdoors, Anne Marie, awesome person, makes good gear, great gear, for sure. So David has seen a legit photo. I'm hoping he's talking about Bigfoot. If so, I want to see a picture of this. Come on, you got to come through with this. Get us a picture so we can see it. I'm pretty sure he's not talking about Dan Becker. I think. Bobcat. So it was. I've seen a lot of bobcats. Actually, in Oklahoma, the trail that I used to hike all the time, we had one bobcat that used to watch us all the time. Almost every night when we went out there, my wife would call it her kitty. She would, because we'd catch it with we'd go out at night and we'd catch its eyes with our headlamps, and it would watch us. We saw it quite a bit. But this was bigger. And the reason that I'm saying it was bigger is it had a long, thick tail, which is why I don't think it was a dog. I don't think it was a coyote. I don't think it was anything like that. The tail was very long and thick. I don't know. People say they aren't where they are a lot. Oklahoma, they said there are no wild big cats in Oklahoma, and there certainly are, and I've seen quite a few photos of them. So who knows? What is my favorite tarp? So it depends. It's a good answer, right? It depends. DCF tarps are awesome if you're trying to cut weight. If you've got the money for them and you want to cut weight, DCF tarps, Dyneema tarps are awesome. You're not going to find a lighter weight tarp. They don't stretch, and they're completely waterproof. They're never going to soak through. You're not going to have an issue with them. But they're extremely expensive. Recently, I've been using the Dutch bonded tarp, and that one. So I've got the Dutch bonded xenon. I think that's what it's called. Bonded xenon, winter, wide, 12-foot, which is great for the bridge hammocks. It is so wide and it is so big. I can actually sit in both of my bridge hammocks inside of it without the bars touching the back wall, which is incredible. I use my hammock gear winter tarp, which is a Adored tarp, but it's 11 foot, and if I sit in my hammock in there, the bridge hammocks, it definitely touches the back. So for me, if I'm using the bridge hammocks, that bonded is kind of the way to go. Plus, that bonded is really nice. You don't have to seam seal anything. You don't have to worry about it leaking. It is bonded. Pretty cool innovation. Even the pullouts are bonded on, so there's no stitch marks. There's nothing there that's going to weaken the fabric. There's nothing there that water's going to seep through. It's pretty awesome. Salmon, thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate it. Oh, so no picture. He closed shop in 2018. DJ, I gotta look and see. So a bobcat leaned into DJ's hammock and he hit it in the face. That's a story around a campfire, a couple of drinks. That's gonna be a good story. Yeah, animals licking grease off of a grill. That definitely happens a lot. I've seen bears doing it. So definitely something that happens. Yeah, Stoic. That is a great winter tarp. It's just it works. The Facts by How to Hunt YouTube channel. Okay, I may look at that. It's got some Bigfoot stuff. Let me just scroll back up through here. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, Jason Smith is asking, why the mesh sleeve with the bag and not just a double-ended stuff sack, and that was kind of my reaction as well. And I reached out to Pickle, who's done a bunch of reviews on it and was, I think, part of the testing. And I asked him, what's the big deal about it? It looks like it's a double-ended just a big double-ended stuff sack. Am I missing something? And he said, yeah, I'm missing something. I was gonna give him a call, and I got sick, so I haven't reached out to him. But going back and watching, it's the sleeve. It's the sleeve that sets it apart. But yeah, do you need the sleeve? Could you just shove it in the stuff sack? I mean, it's a bigger stuff sack that has compression on it, so I would think you could just shove it in there. But I don't know. I haven't tried one. I don't have any firsthand knowledge. Chris told me, yes, there is something else that I'm missing there, so maybe I'm missing something. A skunk on your honeymoon. Oh boy. If you're concerned, so DDFF, if you're concerned at all about durability, if you're using like for me with the bridges and knowing that sometimes getting out, I may take the poles up into the side, which I haven't with the bonded wide. But if you're concerned about something like that with the 0.9, go with the 1.1. I mean, you're not talking about a pound difference. You're talking about a few ounces, if that. So don't sweat it. The difference between a 0.9 and a 1.1 is not much at all. It's minimal. And the peace of mind and just knowing that you've got a little bit more durability there, to me, completely worth it. All right, guys, we've been going for quite a while. We've got an hour and 22 minutes on here right now. And it looks like I'm out of questions. Looks like we've gone through all this. I appreciate you guys coming by. We will do this a little bit more often. I appreciate the interaction. I appreciate you guys actually showing up and having something to say and keeping the chat going. I truly do. All right, guys. I will see you guys.